All right, there we go. We're up live. We got this as our guest today. We have this logo coined Fugazi. I'm just kidding. It's Kelso. What's up, bro?
What is going on, young Enstad? Great to see you again.
Yeah, it's been a while, since we were co-working at CoinSpice, and now all of CoinSpice hates each other, and it's a reflection of the larger Bitcoin Cash ecosystem. Well, the elephant in the room as well. We're on different sides of the IFP, so if you stumbled across this video, you probably won't see a discussion like this in a respectful way anywhere else. I'd say. What do you think?
Say it again, like
A respectful discussion at this point in time about what's happening in Bitcoin Cash with
yeah,
two opposing views, right?
right. It's almost like we can't, it reminds me a lot of 2017 when friends just kind of stopped talking to each other and things got nasty and it turned into, I guess, kind of a cousins war. I'm hoping that doesn't happen. It's not looking good, but I'm hoping that people kind of, even though we take opposing views on what some consider to be a very critical issue, we could still say, hey, you know what? That guy believes that. I believe this. It's math. Moving on.
Just quick math. And so, yeah, you were on the show. High five the logo. I can high five. That's the easiest high five I've done all the time. I can put my arm around the logo. There. Gotta make it a little bit bigger.
Aw,
I'll be cuddling with the logo.
friends.
Here, where is it? All right, there we go. Just hanging out with my logo.
Boom.
So, okay, that's difficult. So, yeah. So I guess I had you on the show before. I think we talked about like crypto media at the time. It was like in the show in the 20s or something, and now we're at 93, which is absolutely crazy. And so, you worked at CoinSpice since like basically its inception. Am I right?
Yeah, a few months after they had begun work there and wanted to see it expand a little bit on a professional journalistic level, they reached out to me. I was with news.bitcoin.com at the time, and loved me the two fellas who were the patrons who were funding the passion project, and I was really close to them and felt a lot of loyalty to them, and they reached out and were like, hey, you want to help us with this? And I really thought it was at the time, believe it or not, I had a column with CoinGeek as well. So that's how far back it goes. And I wasn't in with the CoinGeek people, but their editor-in-chief, Bill at the time, reached out to me and was like, hey, you want to write for us? Just 1, 2, 3 columns a month or whatever. And so I was doing that. So I thought this was going to be something similar. And then it soon just snowballed into a full-time gig, and looked up and it was 2 years later.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you did an awesome job at CoinSpice. You were definitely like the lifeblood of that organization. It seemed like your articles were always. You're an awesome writer. What can I say? And so you really kept it together, and that was awesome. And then I came on, and you helped me kind of brainstorm some ideas for my show. I think I was on with CoinSpice from like episode 25 to like 60 maybe. So it's probably about half my show run, and then I switched back over to this channel, obviously. And basically, when I switched back over, all the IFP drama started hitting, and so here we are. And then CoinSpice kind of slowly just kind of fell apart. I guess they just didn't want to keep funding it. I don't think they really had like a profit model per se, rather than just like maybe some ads on the site. And so, and it was really just like a labor of love, right? It was the only basically Bitcoin Cash dedicated news site. Obviously, there was other stuff written about it, but it was like the go-to spot for like up-to-date Bitcoin Cash news. And so it was very valuable, and now it serves as basically like history, you know.
Yeah, I'm really proud of the work there. I was very lucky to get that gig. Again, when I was first offered it, it was just kind of the way I was thinking of it, envisioning it would be like a part-time thing. I just throw out a couple columns and keep my because bitcoin.com is sort of kind of like the CNN of or maybe not the New York Times, but something huge. Like you write something for bitcoin.com and you think you're a friggin' journalistic genius because you'll get 250,000 views, and you're showing it to your wife going, honey, look. I'm basically running Bitcoin at this point. And so that was not CoinSpice. And I had to help build from, the ground up. And the two guys who brought me on were, I just, it's, you know, I can't say enough good things about them. They were so generous to me, and they did everything they could to kind of promote me. Anything I needed, they were there. They were constantly asking me, "What do you need? What do you want to do?" And it was really, a passion project in media is in a niche of a niche of a niche of a niche,
Yeah.
is a very tough go. And they are two of the most passionate people for peer-to-peer electronic cash I've ever met, and they're terrific strategists and just incredible people. And I was very lucky to have that gig, and it put dinner on the table. I got my girls vittles. I got them spectacles and ballet dances, and I lived off of CoinSpice. I mean, I did some other things, of course, but I lived the peer-to-peer electronic cash dream. So yeah, it was unfortunate. The split, or the disagreement that's happening within the Bitcoin Cash community happened in CoinSpice, but not in a cantankerous way. Like, we weren't yelling back and forth or anything. And really, to be honest with you, no one knew my position. And the entire time I was writing about it, I was being yelled at from the anti-IFP side, going, "You're such a shill. You're in the bag for this." And so what was funny about all that is that I was actually against the IFP for the entire time I was with CoinSpice. And so I try to play it straight down the middle. And then, disagreements within CoinSpice, again, were all very mature, and there was no, it wasn't vitriolic or anything.
Right.
It was just clearly that some of us wanted to go in this direction, some of us want to go that direction, and I was kind of right down the middle. So I sort of got, when they realized that maybe we should pause this for a little while and keep the brand, and see what happens to BCH in the process. Then yeah, it was sad to see it go, but I couldn't ask for a better gig, and it was a lot of fun. And like you say, it now is a historical document. I mean, you go back to look at all the IFP stuff, and when people say, "Oh no, I've always been for it," or "I've always been against it," you can go,
Archive that. The CoinSpice guys are Mike Malley and Jake Smith. They ran the show.
Great guys.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing to, yeah, and I mean, individually, they both come down on both sides of the issue. And yeah, I mean, as you were covering that, I mean, I didn't see your bias. I could see where people could see your bias, just like, by the way,
Right.
I mean, by the way, you like, from your perspective, you're objectively reporting it, right? And some other people be like, well, my view is that this is true, and so that's wrong, and so you're biased, right? And so
Right.
it's, I could see from both sides, right? But like,
Same
so
here.
it's tough to, I mean, obviously I'm like, I've kind of always been against it. And so like yours has been much more objective for sure. And, but yeah, it's like, it's hard to kind of toe that line in the exact middle, because any small thing you can say can get twisted and be like, oh, you're such a shill. And so,
Yeah,
so
and
yeah,
I felt really bad because a lot of the people who were against the IFP were, kind of digital acquaintances, friends of mine, and they were upset at the coverage. And I tried to explain, again, this is, back during some of the more heated moments, as it was being rolled out, that, you know, there's an incumbent side and there's sort of a startup side. And so obviously, by its very nature, the incumbent is going to sort of have they're going to have ties to a media organization. They're going to have a way to kind of get to you faster. So, and it was their proposal, right? So I'm obviously going to cover them first and then the reactionary second. And so I just was never able to recover from it. And, the perception, and I felt bad, but then at the end of it, I just kind of had to kind of call it as I sees it, and take it as it came, and kind of let readers decide. And I got from people who were less emotional. Again, there's I don't want to dismiss people who question how I covered things. That's important too. You gotta, if someone says, "Hey, dude, this is a totally biased article, like this, and this," I have to listen. You know what I mean? If I have to kind of go, okay, well, how do you see it that way? I was able to pretty much defend everything I wrote. I had a source for it. I had a reasoning behind it. But yeah, the irony of all of it was I was only able to finally tell it to Jonathan Tumim when I was interviewing him post CoinSpice, and I was like, I was totally for the IFP the entire time. And he goes, "Oh, because I'm sorry, totally against the IFP the entire time." And he goes, "Oh, I was for it for a while." And we had a big laugh, about that, because he's the preeminent, anti-IFP guy. But yeah, that for sure. CoinSpice was a casualty of that schism, I guess. It was one of the earliest ones, and it's too bad, but them's the breaks.
For sure, for sure. And so, I mean, I gotta ask, what made you change your mind on this?
My relationship with Amaury, he's there's, I guess, a public perception, and I'm gonna sound like a battered wife. You guys just don't know him the way I know him, okay? A little bit of Stockholm syndrome, but again, the entire time I was interviewing the dude, the entire time I was covering it, I would give up the ghost. I would tell you who could validate what I'm saying to you, but I don't want to bring him or her into it.
Yes.
Because they may be like, "Dude, like, shut up. Like, that was our private conversation." But there are enough people who know me to know well enough that I was very uncomfortable by the IFP, and I was uncomfortable with the entire thing, really, until very, very recently. I just had some time after CoinSpice to kind of reflect on how he treated me, really go back over our interviews together, what we talked about, and it's a few things clicked. And one was the incentive model, and the other is the kind of the stasis that Bitcoin Cash has been in really since early 2018. It just kind of keeps doing the same thing over and over again. And that argument is actually made on both sides, both for Amaury and ABC, and against it. So I've heard people say it just keeps doing the same thing over and over again. And so this seemed just radical enough to, and not in a way to destroy it, in my opinion, to make Bitcoin Cash distinctive among proof of work coins that have the network effect and that are claiming something like medium of exchange and store of value. It just had enough. And also, I know, again, I have to be kind of cryptic here. I know that this proposal was supported back in 2018 by people who are now arguing as if Hitler himself has, ordained it. So almost exactly the same wording and all the, even down to the percentages in some cases, were advocated by people a couple of years ago. And I thought they were nuts then. It's funny because it's full circle now, or however you want to phrase it. But it was just radical enough to where it needs a kick in the pants. And whether that means the contingent, which is a rather large one, with BCHN, and there's more to it than just that, but it's easier to talk about when I say BCHN, the Bitcoin Cash node. If they go off and do their thing and they win the ticker and they get the hash power and so on, I just kind of see it as more of the same. It could be in their argument, which is, well, we'll be missing this, this ingredient that we feel is really what's been holding it back the whole time, in ABC and Sachet. So I go, okay, fine. But I've been in the chat rooms long enough that I can already see new factions building within the BCHN thing, so that even if they're to their heart's content, they get exactly what they want. Then it's the Bitcoin mining parliament, and then you watch, just watch. You just watch.
No
and
BMP, please.
I swear to God,
Just Javier George.
Just watch in early 2021. The arguments will be, you guys sound just like ABC. We're gonna start the whole cycle over again, and there'll be new talk. it just it's like it's almost like Bitcoin Cash, in my opinion, needs a shaking up. And I realize that brings. I mean, I'm a casualty of it, right? So I've in a sense sacrificed myself and my work. So I get what the consequences are if I guess wrong or if I'm wrong, and Amaury becomes a jet-setting Parisian who's like Rouge of OneCoin. He's got a Lambo and he's flicking cigarettes at the hoi polloi and stuff. I've taken your 8% and I now have a beautiful Parisian estate. I could, I get it. I'd be like, yep, I fucked up. That was wrong. That was a bad decision. But I don't think that's going to happen. If ABC takes it, I think the hysteria will die down. It'll kind of always be there. But again, you asked me why. So this is how I'm game theorying it in my head. And I'm like, let's try it. Let's see. And it does have a 6-month sort of veto in a sense that if we try it,
hard fork it out.
I mean, in a sense, so like you can kind of back
but
out of it again.
But the incentives aren't there to hard fork out.
Right. It could be in the sense that if it shits the bed as badly as everybody said that it's going to, and and so on, there is that possibility. So it again, you asked why. Mm-hmm. Like obviously, I didn't come on to defend the IFP, but I will. I'm not going to shy away from it. I took a stance, but I just think it's enough debate. Like I know that's not popular and people want to have in, but I think there's a point at which we're just all standing around and we're like talking, and I'm just like, ugh, it's enough already. I got it. It's just that you guys are hateful and you guys need to stop. And like, okay, all right, maybe go do your own thing, and let's see how this works. Let's try something different. Let's try something completely to shake it up. And I find it interesting. I find it compelling. Do I know for sure it'll work? Will it turn into Dash 2.0 or something and sink to 35th coin? maybe I really don't know, but I don't see Bitcoin Cash heading in a good direction without a model that is again, and I wrote about this more recently, which I think was what prompted you to reach out to me. If Bitcoin Cash can kind of re-embrace what I think was lost, which is the store of value meme.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was a long way to go.
Yeah, we can kind of transition to that. I mean, so I can see where people think the incentives are aligned for the IFP, but I don't know. It's just such like a centralizing thing that's happening right now. And some people think it's a good thing because you can be efficient and you don't have to debate. You can just do shit. And I get it, but it's like, I don't know. That's just antithetical, is that a word, to what Bitcoin is, right? And so now you have this group ABC that's going to have their own chain, and that's fine, I guess. But I don't know. It just, to me, it just kind of defeats the whole purpose of Bitcoin. Now you have this. You are literally changing the incentives of Bitcoin. You're literally changing the economics. Some people say it's for the better, and I don't think it is. And some people like myself say it's for the worse. And so this debate's definitely been done to death. And again, I can kind of see both sides, but I just think, like you even say, it's a radical change, and it is. It is. And so
I've talked to Amaury, and he's, someone asked him, which I think is a very good question, like, could Bitcoin have done this in its earliest stages, and what would you have said about it? And he's like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. This is a different world. It's a different time. There are different set of circumstances. And so, yeah, I think in a sense, I think everybody's got to admit that this is radical in the sense that, again, radical can be bad, and it can be seen as like, oh man, these guys are taking a radical chance with this beautiful vision. Or it's like, in the way of the IFP, it's a radical correction it's a radical restoration, I guess. It's putting it where it should be, and capturing it before it can get captured by big donors, or it's just waiting to happen again. Again, let's say, because right now, if you look at the cosmetics of everything, right, and you line it all up, and people will say, "Oh, look, this is hard. This is not even a debate. Like, everybody is anti IFP." That's okay. Well, get what you want. I want to talk to you in a year. Then, and I don't want any bullshit excuses. I don't want any. Well, if we hadn't had the IFP a year ago, and that whole debate, it slowed us down. Nah. I want to see you in a year when there's a new thing that's going on, and a new guy who's coming, and some new guy that's whacked out of his skull that made all of his money. Someone, he's got some weird quirks, and and he's the new leader, and he's the new guy that's funding everything, and then it just seems to keep going in the same cycle over and over and over again. So I would like to see it. I'm just, what's weird, what's a strange position for me to take, and why I think maybe my argument's a little bit different than most that you've heard, is that I kind of acknowledge all of your fears. Like, I'm not going to dismiss them and go, you're a, this or that or something. I'm going to acknowledge them and say, yeah, I think those are some real concerns. But the danger to me is that this really is the time for, we need I believe an alternative.
You talking for the community again?
I gotta check my Randian card here at the door. I think an alternative, a hard money, a sound money alternative is needed in the crypto space, because everybody's kind of gone on to, BTC is the store of value, digital gold. It's going to be a banking settlement layer if they get their wish. Ripple's doing its thing, whatever the hell that is. Ethereum is world
gambling site.
Yeah. And I love all of it. DeFi is really cool and interesting. And there always seems to be a $1 billion that goes this way and $1 billion that goes that way. It's kind of weird. Like, this money's being shuffled back and forth. And I'm kind of suspicious that maybe it's the same, $700 million that keeps floating back and forth to all these new things. But
on this DeFi shit, oh my God, it's just watching
just whatever it is,
watching
whatever the new thing is.
Oh my God, it's so ridiculous.
Yeah, the sushi, and it's cool. I dig it. It's not that. It's just, I guess my point is, like, everybody's kind of off of the medium of exchange meme and store of value meme together.
Yeah. And so
that's where Bitcoin Cash is.
Right. Coming back to that, like, Bitcoin Cash still has its niche there. Like, I don't think any other coin really has approached it from just like sub-cent fees and adoption by the most people. I mean, you have BitPay, right? And I know BitPay is expanding now, but like, you have BitPay, you have all these other options. It's based off of BTC, UTXO thing, so it's really easy to implement if you already have BTC implemented. And so I think just like staying in that lane, and I don't think like changing radically developer because they think BCH isn't good enough right now and it needs to like be all of a sudden like suddenly better. It's just like, I don't know, it just doesn't seem right. Like, we're already on this path of medium of exchange, like you said, and we just need to keep pushing that. And I mean, part of it, is adoption. Like, why don't we have more people using it? Like, it's not because there's not development happening, and I mean, there has been, but like, it's because people just aren't using it. I don't think that comes down to like the development back end. Like, maybe it comes down to the bullshit development arguing.
There it is.
But it's nothing to do with like the features, and like, I mean, we have like check data sig now, which can do like simple DeFi stuff, but like, none of that stuff's bringing adoption. What's going to bring adoption is, well, really just like marketing, I guess, and at the end of the day. And so I don't think like radically changing like how the incentives work to make it different than BTC and different than other coins is all of a sudden going to make it like valuable. And so
I think I'm hoping that it ends this debate, which has gone on for the better part of, I know for people who are not you, but for people who are newer to Bitcoin Cash, this all seems to have fallen out of the sky. but this has been the debate since the start.
Yeah.
Is okay. How does a project maintain itself? Like, do we go to the foundation side? Oh no. Do we do the blockstream thing? No. There's nothing we can learn from blockchain. No. It's all second layer.
Just got to DM Jack, bro. He'll send you some funds. Did you see the new Square crypto thing? It's like, if you're a Bitcoin developer, apply here for a grant. Did you see that?
You know what? You know what's weird, and this is heretical to say. I think we pushed that dude away. I really do. I think that, again, I'm not the biggest Twitter Jack fan, and I find him insufferable. And the fact that I have to know his dietary patterns and his fucking new facial hair and his stupid, like, it drives me up a wall. But do you really want to push that dude away? I mean, I thought that was a huge strategic mistake. Like,
I mean, how did pushing, we like, remind me, like, a specific?
Oh, just the shittiness, the back and forth on just making it impossible for, again, I might here when I'm getting in danger, I don't want to blame anybody, because a lot of people did put their reputations and their skin in the game.
Are you talking about the thing with Roger and saying he's having a relationship? Are you talking about
Not necessarily, but I think we could say that
you heard it here first. I'm calling like
yeah, that's right. I covered the story. It was hilarious. Again, you have to kind of suss out what I'm trying to say here without blaming anybody. But I think that's part of the problem, man. Is that it's that the incentives are such that we get dudes and dudettes who sort of capture it and become it, and we're sort of slaves to this cult of personality. And I think that the fighting comes from the fact that the incentives are out of whack, that they are misaligned in a certain sense. So maybe with an IFP, the infrastructure does get settled, and you don't have your lead developer. Again, I was yelled at for calling it the reference implementation, and everybody's saying we don't need a reference implementation. So I'm like, okay, which is it? Like, we don't need it, or we don't have it, or we don't have it because we don't need it, or we. Oy vey. So you got your main dude, arguably the creator of Bitcoin Cash, arguably, underline, bold, italic, 72 font.
One up.
He's definitely he's bitching and moaning about funding and the stability and keeping it there, and he's warning and warning. Again, this didn't happen last month. This went on from the start, and maybe the IFP just finally settles that, if in the voluntary nature of mining, and these pools and so on choose to mine it because they feel like, okay, well, 8% is a small price to pay. And then when you, again, I don't want to, because you've had this debate so many times, I'm sure people are just like rolling their eyes, but it's spread out across SHA-256 or whatever algorithm. So we maybe that settles what is, I believe, the main problem in Bitcoin Cash, which is the constant noise from people who don't have skin in the game, that we're hearing from too many people who don't matter in the sense that.
But why doesn't BTC have this problem? Just because, like, everybody's already employed and funded?
Maybe, or like that is an alternative, right? So the again, this is heresy to say, but they kind of got it right in that sense. They got rid of the knuckleheads. This is from their perspective, not mine. They got rid of the knuckleheads. The knuckleheads forked off, did their own thing. They started fighting with themselves. They went on to create companies that benefit from the solution that they sort of caballed. And I'm trying to like have it both ways here, but you get what I'm saying. Like, their success is relative to other coins' failures, I guess. So we don't really know what the measure is, because I agree with the ultimate argument against BTC was that that whole debate retarded adoption. Like, it was kind of going along the medium of exchange, and people were doing it, whatever, and then that artificial cap and so on. So the point I guess I'm getting at is that they had something about incentives right. It's just I didn't. It, again, it couldn't have really been done in any reasonable way when it was started, but now it can be done because of the network effect and because of where we are historically. And because it can be done, it doesn't really mean it should be done, but it can be done. And I don't think it changes things for the worse. I think it changes them potentially for the better. And so limiting the noise, you're always going to have that. You're always going to have. It's not going to be crypto kumbaya if the IFP goes through. Um, you know, it's the nature of the beast in some cases. But I think you will have. I'm hoping you'll have less of an incentive to listen to people who aren't really doing something. And I also want less emphasis on marketing. Um, Not to do away with marketing. I think marketing is important. Obviously, I'm on, I
How
guess,
dare you?
tangentially that side of things. I'm not a technical person, but I definitely am on closer to marketing than I am the tech side. But I want more. I want the people who care about the project and want hard money. I want them to be aligned in a way that makes sense. And the IFP does that, although it's gotten there circuitously. It's gotten there through some rather crooked and strange pathways.
All right, so circling back a little bit. So BTC, you're kind of saying BTC had like a, you're kind of alluding to like a cancel culture, right? Like
Ish.
not exactly, but
No, you're right.
kind of relating back to BCH. Personally, I started seeing a cancel culture in wow, I can't speak, coming from ABC very early on, and this has caused a lot of rift and disagreements with people. And just an example, whether you like him or not, Steve Patterson, right? Derek McGill. These
Sure.
guys, BCH, BSV, they talk about both, right? And
Right.
ABC, Murray's like talk shit about these guys like all the time, like, and then for example, I was in this one group, I'm not gonna name it, and it was pretty private, like probably 20 some people. Probably back in like February, March, I exited because it was just way too toxic. Because it was just like it was a shit talking channel. Like I know these exist, basically for every niche of a niche of a niche of crypto. I know these exist, but this was coming from ABC. Omri, the lead developer, and it was just like shit talking people, and and even like by extension, like he's not saying like go cancel these people, but like you've seen that and you're like, oh, this guy know what he's talking about. You kind of like reflect that views in your interaction with people, right? And so, I mean, I had to leave because it was just so toxic. And I know a couple other people that left too. And so I get circling back now. This cancel culture is kind of happening to Amari now, right? Like it's kind of backfiring at him.
Sure.
And this is where the whole Bitchevek thing comes from. Is people think people are canceling them, so they call them Bitcheveks. And so I don't know if this is like just like a backfire thing, or I guess your thoughts with like cancel culture in Bitcoin Cash at this point.
Yeah. I'll take it and I'll lean into it a little bit. Some of that is just necessary. It's the project working itself out. If you go back to and you were there, so you have more of insight into this than I do. Amari was at the Bitcoin Cash City conference and gave what I think if the IFP goes through and things kind of make their way in the way that I'm hoping, I think that speech will be something people will refer to. He had complete with slides and everything else, and he talked a lot about Schelling points, and he talked a lot about. I'm going to put words into his mouth now, so this is me interpreting it. Kind of cleaving out people who just talk, like it's just constant talk. And I think there is something to that, and I've seen it. Um, you know, to psychoanalyze Amari, I think is there's a bit of it's just it's almost beside the point, I guess now. But yeah, I think he found guys that would weigh in challenging to him it was so they were so fundamentally wrong on certain features, and I'm not speaking to the two that that you used as an example, but he's done this other times with guys who were similarly inclined. He just found them wanting, and it's a bit like, and this is not a perfect analogy by any stretch, but it's a bit like a surgeon who's trying to help your mom who's had a heart attack, and having some dude come in. I just don't think you're doing that right, and it's like, okay, I got to stop what I'm doing now and talk to you about this. Why? Why?
Yeah,
And
that's
there,
fair. I think it kind of.
but
I mean, those two that I referenced obviously like weren't really developers. I think that culture is like reflected onto other developers though, and that kind of has
sure,
created this disagreement with ABC. And now
it's both. Yeah,
I've seen him talking crap about like
yeah,
basically everybody that's not currently in ABC. Like I'm not gonna name any names, but basically everybody. And I mean that just is the current environment too. So
yeah. I think it does go both ways, and I I do lament that aspect of BCH culture. So here I'm going to weasel out of talking about Henri and just kind of talk about
yeah, yeah, yeah.
the
Go ahead.
general sort of tone.
Yeah.
Just because that's another thing that really bothers me. Like, look, man, if I wanted a job for Bitcoin Cash, I know where the money's at. I'm really friendly with these people, and it wouldn't take too much for me to just go out and like shit all over Omri. I mean, it'd be very easy. I mean, guy's given me enough goddamn ammunition to do it, right? So like, I could totally do that. But so why, assuming I'm not insane, why would a reasonably sane person who's lived on, loved, fought, and shed digital blood for Bitcoin Cash side with Satan? Um, as far as they're concerned, I think it has to do with, again, it sounds really glib, but the incentives being misaligned in the sense that we're having too many conversations with people who don't matter. Now, that's going to be clipped and used. We don't matter. All coins matter. All voices matter. I could just see it now. But in context, what I mean is it's the signal noise cliche. There really is a problem with too many cooks in the kitchen, too many surgeons trying to help your mom, and too many comments about it, and not enough practitioners. And so the you know in a strange way, and people say it's just strategic. Amaury does listen, in my experience. Again, it's very limited, and I will defer to anybody who's had issues with him. And I'm sure there's a laundry list of complaints against his management style and all the abuses he's inflicted on the poor developers. But in my experience, something like the difficulty adjustment algorithm, I found interesting because he had his answer. Tuman had put it up way before then, and kind of raised the issue and forced the issue. Amaury tried to sort of come back with and I asked him privately, like, you really think this is better than Tuman's thing? I mean, Tuman's got charts. Tuman's got, it's hard to argue with Tuman. Like, the guy's a stud. And I'm like, you really believe? He's like, yeah, I believe it's superior. But you know what? Let's not die on this hill. It was sort of his feeling at the time. Maybe this is something that will allow people to breathe a little bit and to stop kvetching. Now, again, the other side of that is, he's apologizing for the strategic. He's Abraham Lincoln doing the Emancipation Proclamation, but he knows it's not going to do anything. It's just a dead letter or whatever. But I think there was some lessons to learn. In my experience, he likes the mixing it up and the grappling, but if you stay with him and you kind of push him a little bit, he'll eventually in my experience, very limited, he'll cede to the. Are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay, just my screen went blank. Um, he'll cede to the better idea that he's ultimately searching for that. How he gets there is again that really strange line that I wouldn't do. I like seeking consensus. I like deferring. I like allowing people to come in and have their say and make them a part of things. Um, it's sad that there's such a toxic. Here's what I will say about the BCHN folks. They didn't cancel Omri completely. So if you look at the bottom of some of, and I can't remember the article right now, but Tumum's kind of his most um, like polemical read.cash post, and I've lost the name of it, but he just basically just throws down, and he says, "That's it, we're done. Omri's fired." He comes back at the end and goes, "Look, there are a lot of good people there, and we'll have them back in should they understand, what went on, and we can use their talents for." Um, you know, that's ultimately how I like to personally deal with things. But then again, I haven't been. This is from his perspective now, and from the ABC perspective, from those who believe they've sort of held the banner for 3 years and been sued and not just gotten an email, but like literally have been hounded and had websites with mugshots and ticker symbols and guys who could really crack the whip on them after 2.5 years of that nonsense and being thrashed. I think there was a point at which maybe he just snapped. Like he's just like, I've had enough, man. Had enough being nice. I'm talking to these idiots. And I'm not excusing it. I'm just sort of explaining it. But you're right. I think that has to lessen. And I think I think the IFP, once it's installed and there's funding and there's people to sort of oversee it and look at Bitcoin Cash going forward, if it improves, they improve, and they're aligned on the roadmap, which is hard money, sound money. I think a lot of those debates just are irrelevant because we're not looking to impress some ephemeral donor who's kind of floating out there and we're trying to, I don't know, impress him with our argumentative antics or whatever. I think it's like, okay, now we can just focus on the tech rather than these debates. So anyway, that's my long answer.
But maybe there just wasn't funding because people didn't want to give to ABC, right? I mean, what do you have to like say? Like, I've said this a bunch of times, and it sounds so cheesy, but like, just be nice. I don't know. Like, it seems like a lot of ABC's problem. I mean, this is again back to cancel culture. Just like maybe you're not getting donations because people don't want to give you donations, and just like being more of an asshole because they're not giving you donations isn't going to get you more donations. And so, I mean, going back a little bit,
that falls into the kind of begging the question, right? So if you argue about abortion, the first thing a feminist will say is it's my body and I'll do what I want to. Well, sweetheart, that's the debate. That's what we're talking about. So if you're saying be nice and you'll get more donations, Marie is like, bro, I shouldn't have to, like, it's not, I don't want to, donations not the way we should be funding a 5-10 billion, whether you agree with him or not is irrelevant, but he's saying like a $5 billion, $4 billion project, if the price is going down, people are like, oh, technically it's 3.86, Kelso, so you can F right off, bro. So let's say it's $4 billion project. No, is sort of his answer. Like, that's just not, that's not, it just doesn't get it. And, being nice and stuff. I agree with you. That's my general modus operandi. And,
but yeah, I agree like with you that he kind of like at this point he put in the IFP because he's just sick of all the shit, right? I think that's
if you look at it from his perspective.
I think it's accurate. I mean, it's from a game theory perspective.
Exactly.
He's gonna get money if like the chain's gonna survive. Like he's gonna get money for ABC no matter what happens.
I could have done this at any time. Go ahead.
Yeah, and so from a game theory, it sounds so cheesy saying that, but he's gonna be getting money, and how much money is up to the really the market to decide. And so yeah, I think he's sick of the shit, and he's sick of what he deems to be toxic people that, like you said, weigh in when he doesn't want them to weigh in, and he just kind of wants to do his own thing. And I mean, we'll see it play out on November 15th. So
Right, and I think there's a danger in reducing. I'm not accusing you of doing this, but I've seen others do it, of reducing him down to petulance and toddlerism and stuff like that. You're dealing with a pretty bright guy who's also a stalwart, who's kept alive Bitcoin Cash, and it sounds dramatic, but I
yeah,
was there. I was there. I saw him a couple of times do it. He had to coordinate with people. He had to talk with them,
but then
and had to bring in
but if it
people.
if it broke
But
if it broke, that means if he fixed it, that means it broke.
or right, or that's just part of the job, right?
Well, if you
So
put a new feature in and then it breaks.
sure, sure. There's another danger in making him out to be a saint, right? And I think that that also has to go. But the he, to say, well, he's doing this. So what kind of got me thinking along these lines is that the implication is, oh, he's doing this because he wants money. Well, okay, news flash. But he could have done that really at any time and didn't. And again, you're just gonna have to believe me, I guess. But 2 years ago,
Now I know this discussion's been going on like in the background. I
it
do
was it was
I
it
do
was
know
pretty
that.
heavy.
I don't know the details about. I was never like obviously involved in that like at all at
It
the
was
time,
heavy.
but I knew
It
it was
was heavy.
happening. Yeah.
It was rolling. It was about to get did. And the my point, I guess, in making that argument is that I don't think it's enough to, again, to say he's either just evil or he's a dupe or he's just in it for the money. Like, you know, I there's a lot riding on this, because if he does lose and this does go down the tubes, like, there's your reputation. I mean, he's not anonymous. People know him. He put his figure, his face, his reputation. He's been trashed. I mean, again, I'm not trying to make him. I'm not putting him on a cross and nailing nails into his hands. But I'm saying, from his perspective, you know, it's too convenient to go. Oh, obviously he's just a greedy fool who wants to destroy Bitcoin Cash and take the money and run and exit scam. And I think that's not okay. Will I concede if that happens? Hell yes. I'll come back on the show and go, whew, got that one wrong,
All
young
right.
Instead. Sorry, bro.
All right. Speaking of that, Mike Komaranski
You go.
says Kelso is advocating taking 8% of the mining reward and giving it to Omri to dole out to friends because he wants to shake things up. Make sure he knows he's making a bad choice.
I have a lot of respect for Mike. He definitely predates me, and he's someone to consider, someone to listen to. So if you had to, listen to me versus him, you should definitely listen to him. That said, it's less about maybe the details and more
But yeah,
about.
going back to what you
Go ahead.
said, like
Go.
I I don't think Omri's a bad person. I don't think he's super greedy. Everything you said is basically true. I just think he's sick of the shit and wants to have money for development. I don't think he's a bad person. Like I know I've talked like shit about him and just want to like make sure like, like I'm not trying to devolve into personal attacks. I've seen it everywhere and
Good.
it's kind of disgusting. They've come from him too, to be honest. But
Yeah.
anyways, just clear that. But anyways, keep you.
If you look at my writings, I don't spare him. And I don't spare the rollout of the IFP. I use the word, it was an abortion. It was terrible, like the way it was rolled out. So it's not like you can go, oh, obviously. And by the way, fellas, I'm not on the payroll. Gavish? Like,
Yeah, but now
I've been dumped off.
now you have to lobby the miners and the big coin holders of ABC if you want some money. So
Boom. Right? Or, you know,
that sweet 4%.
I'm going to not vilify those who are for the IFP, which is, if you look at the English speaking world, it's like a super majority of the Bitcoin Cash community, or what's left of it. I think I'm in the minority of a minority of a minority of a minority. And so they've got the wind at their back. They're they're working in ways that they believe will improve the project. I believe they believe themselves. I just I just don't. I see the same patterns evolving, devolving, however you want to put it, over and over and over again. And I think it's time for, as Mike said, and he was quoting me back to myself, for a shakeup. It's time for this to move on, to do something different. That could be bouncing Sachet and ABC, and we get the BCHN side of things. I'm telling you now, in the year, you're gonna be like, holy crap. And they're all gonna he's gonna be the ghost that lingers. He's gonna be the systemic racism of BCH. They'll just keep
Yeah,
banging that
yeah,
over.
I can see that coming. I mean, Omri
Oh, it's
himself has
coming
said
from
this, the whole ex-girlfriend thing, right?
angry scorn
Bitcoin
girlfriend.
Cash
Yes,
is
sir.
the angry ex-girlfriend because it can't stop talking about BTC, and so hopefully our BTC gets over ABC, if ticker and all that stuff. Hopefully they get over it quick and just move the fuck on. Like, y'all talking enough shit. Everybody's on their own chain. Just shut the fuck up.
Seriously.
So,
Seriously. But I have seen enough evidence where to satisfy me that the ABC guys want to move on. Like, they see this as a really prime time, considering all that's going on in the world with regard to COVID and money printing of world governments, that the medium of exchange, store of value meme, that combination has not been used effectively. And part of that
yeah,
is
let's talk about
is
that. Keep going.
positioning. Yeah.
Because
And
yeah, your
and
article. So
I believe the
I'm
ABC
gonna
guys are focused on that.
I'm gonna sum your article up here. So I guess I can switch things real quick. We haven't switched. Oh shit! Holy shit! And so Bitcoin Cash is the remnant, and you basically talk about how Bitcoin Cash focused on medium exchange so hard that it forgot about the store of value, right? And so,
Yeah.
and it's just like been completely dismissed. Like, people say, "Oh, you're just holding. You're not using Bitcoin. You know, like what are you doing?" And so it's backfired, right? Because a lot of the, I mean, Bitcoin. The reason we have Bitcoin is to get rid of the financial system, start our own financial system, and part of that financial system is being your own bank, and being your own bank. Well, it's hodling. It's hodling. It is storing your value. It's storing your value against the volatile.
Saving.
Yeah, it's saving. It's saving your value against a volatile currency of your choice, your preferred fiat currency, right, or your least preferred. And so, yeah, I mean, that's obviously like a big summary of it. But learn me, teach me.
Well, so I've kind of had an ass full of the medium of exchange idea. Like, I get it. It's out there.
Yeah.
I've seen your coffee. I love the people who do it. The meetups and stuff. I think it's fantastic. I think they're warriors, they're fighters, they're people I just admire so much. But it's been like the economics is lost, and I think that's a problem. The economics of sound money has been sort of left by the wayside, and I think that comes because there's a disproportionate influence of people who benefit. They're incentivized to spend, and there's good to spending because, again, it's, as I mentioned in the article, it shows Bitcoin Cash in the wild. It kind of shows the true potential of Bitcoin. But that's so 2013, so 2014. Like, we got it, guys, we got it. But like, now we need to have an emphasis on maintaining. So in their more honest moments, when you get a couple of beers in them, some IPAs, here in Southern California, we have Sculpin, a really nice, beautiful IPA. It tastes like oatmeal, and it's thick. You get a Sculpin, half a Sculpin in these guys, and by Ballast Point, and you sit down with them and you go, you understand that the reason it's not a store of value is because every few months, Bitcoin Cash shits the bed. Like, there's some stupid debate. There's some goddamn fighting about, well, technically the object data sig doesn't comport with the Schnorr thing. We got to go through the goddamn debate over and over
Bro,
and over.
you don't know shit about Operaverse bytes. Shut the fuck up.
Do you even see Tor, bro?
I saw some palindromes on the chain, so I know what the fuck I'm talking about.
But the point is, like, that's why I believe some of the larger players who are serious people won't go near Bitcoin Cash. And it came out recently in a dude, and he was kind of talking to Pomp and some of these other guys on some of the mainstream media as to why he threw his money into Bitcoin. And it was hilarious. BTC. Yep. He's like, well, because it survived the Bitcoin Cash wacko.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to argue, right? What would you say about my sister, bro? She's a whore, but she's my sister, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, don't talk that way about Bitcoin Cash. You know what I mean? Like, but he's got a point. He has a real point. And I think we're to dismiss his point is to miss the bigger picture, which is that the instability, the constant infighting, the every, oh, you guys are forking again? Huh. We're doing that over and over and over again because it's incentivized to go that route. It's going to keep doing that until something changes. And I think the IFP gets us there. But the sound money part of it can be emphasized once the tech is shorn up, once the undergirding is there and people can trust that you got professionals on it, that you'll put your name on it.
I'm the most professional you've seen.
But you have people who are world class working on it. You got to pay them. I think that's cool. Like, I think that can add some value. And I think working on the hard money side, we will have a chance to emphasize that again.
So
the project will.
Yeah, going back to that rich dude that bought way too much BTC, and he said, the reason I bought so much, I believe the quote is, the reason I bought so much was because I know nobody can change Bitcoin and it will stay the same always. It was proven by, and he basically alluded to the hard fork, right, of Bitcoin Cash. And so, so it's funny because it's like BSV then has like their mantra is like, we're going to freeze the protocol. And obviously they're not even close to doing that. And so I think I've heard Bitcoin Cash people say that too. I mean, eventually you have like a perfect protocol, right, that you work towards and you freeze it. Like, so I guess that'd be the reason. But it's funny, like that guy says that and he put $500 million into BTC. It's like, something like that, it's like, how do we bridge that like education gap? Probably like a really cool documentary that you could like watch on Netflix or something that like talks
if
about
only
the
there
Bitcoin
was
scaling.
a flip starter that recently funded the history of that.
Yeah, maybe I'll run one. I lost too much money from the recent Bitcoin Cash price drop.
You have to run it again.
I need to run part 2.
Thus proving the fundraising issue. No, I'm joking. Bite you on the ass, didn't it, instead?
Yeah, I should have gone right into Tether.
Boom. But yeah. I agree. Education is definitely part of it. But that's the point I guess I'm ultimately making. Like the hard money aspect has been de-emphasized.
Right.
And I would like to see that come back. I would like to see, people talking about savings and not just dumping out, because that has obviously we don't want to get into speculation and price and stuff like that, but I mean, you have to see the logic of it. If people are getting it and then dumping into fiat immediately. Hello, Bueller.
Yeah.
Hello.
I mean, yeah, that's like a whole nother topic, is like, how do we like starve off this volatility for just regular people? And it's I mean, that's the whole, again, I come back to what I said earlier in the show. It's like Bitcoin Cash is still like the last bastion of hope for medium exchange. I mean, your top 5 are literally, 1 is BTC, it's BTC. 2 is Ethereum, which is now have you used Ethereum lately?
No, but I've seen the horror stories about gas fees and so on.
Like literally, it's at least like $4 to just like send a simple transaction. If you're trying to interact with a smart contract, it's gonna be at least 10. That's like normal in the last like month. And if it's like peak, like some new freaking swap thing is coming out gonna be like 20,
Yeah.
30. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's literally like the epitome of what crypto is now, has turned into. It's like this weird mosh posh of different gambling Ponzi scheme things, but it's like it's buried in so much like tech garbage that you don't know you're getting Ponzi'd until you try to cash out and you have a quarter of the stack that you started with. And
Yeah,
then
I think all of our dithering, and I'll take responsibility for it as I am the CEO or former CEO of Bitcoin Cash.
oh, you
I'll
resigned?
take I'll take ultimate responsibility for it here.
You got canceled.
Is that we dithered. We left open a hole, and while we could have shored up stuff and kept these arguments to a minimum, I believe people just went, "Ugh, this is annoying." Like, every time I get lured in by some, silver-tongued devil about the wonders of Bitcoin Cash, I grab it, I hold it. Next thing you know, it's down $10,000. God damn it! And and so I just dump it. And so, what is crypto? Crypto is DeFi, is Ethereum, is you know esoteric language, and you know really exotic financial products and so on. And we lost that. So I would like to see, and I hint to this in the article, I think there's a paradox. I think because of where money supplies are, and we're kind of seeing 2008 repeat itself, but on steroids, I think there's a real chance, if there's a stable, and not in the CSW sense, a stable, rational, professional grade, well-maintained infrastructure, a community that's focused on hard money, that limits the personalities and limits the charisma, and just gets out there and just starts showing. I think people will naturally come over organically, or at least there's a chance.
You do know you have to have politics for that other 4% that ABC doesn't keep, right?
Say it again.
There's going to be politics to convince the miners and the large stakeholders to fund your shit. You know that, right?
Well, I think so, but there's like politics. Again, it's easy to get into a semantical game, but I honestly believe this. I think if the incentives are aligned, then you're having the right discussions. And we've been having so many strange, off the reservation debates, and this is too centralized or decentralized, and we're just having so many tangential, non-important debates that it's scared off anybody who would be even remotely interested in it.
Well, because
and I think that
when you talk to some people every day, you're going to have debates, so you got to move on to more and more crazy shit. If you talk every day, right? So.
or we're giving, going back to what I was defending Amari with, we're giving the wrong people too much amplification. They're punching above their weight relative to what they contribute and what their stake is, and it's hard to sometimes distinguish between those who are acting in the best interest of the coin versus those who are just kind of, here, I'll just drop this little bomb here and watch these guys scramble over it, because they're all freaking sociopaths who like to argue about anything. And you know what I mean? And unfortunately, that's the view of Bitcoin Cash right now. The community is seen as a ridiculous clown show. And so I don't know. I'm part of it, right? So I'm not like saying you guys are all weird. I'm part of it. I'm there. I helped facilitate it. CoinSpice, maybe in a way, added to the toxicity. I'm willing
That's just
to
spice. They just spice it up.
We were just in it for the spice.
Yeah, it wasn't toxic. It was spice.
Right. That's different. So I'll take it. But where am I at now? I want hard money. I want sound money. I want the medium of exchange idea to go hand in hand, to where I need less girls in bikinis at a conference.
Did you say less? Come on, we need some.
Smash the patriarchy, bro. Or non-binary person.
How else are we gonna normal dudes on a Bitcoin Cash? Not a pair of titties. Come on.
But I'm saying, right, like I want to see less emphasis on that and more on the hard money aspect. And I think you're gonna get more.
You're trying to go the hard money route instead of soft titties. Come on.
You ain't soft, is you, boy? But yeah, like I would like to see that come back. And I think the Bitcoin Cash is a roadmap. Bitcoin Cash has a focus, and I think it can do both. And oddly, weirdly, it's the only coin with a network effect that can do it. And so that's, I guess, my personal take right now. If, by the way, this all fails and I'm wrong, I will completely disavow everything I just said.
Will you come back to Bitcoin Cash?
Say it again.
Will you come back to Bitcoin Cash?
There's always a room in heaven for you, son, if you decide to change your mind. Your mother and I would like you to come back to Jesus. Yeah, I'm always gonna be with Bitcoin Cash, man. Like, it's my. I was talking to Emin Gunsir of Avalanche, and he called BTC everybody's first kiss. Yeah, Bitcoin Cash was my first. I don't want to get too graphic, but it was, I lived it. I married it. I took it to Hawaii and showed it around to my family. You know what I mean? I really was involved. It was more than just a kiss.
Took her to St. Kitts, show her the world.
Right. And took her to Townsville, Australia. And, I love Bitcoin Cash. And even the cantankerous knuckleheads on the other side who are wrong, like yourself, I'm always down for it. I want to be wrong in some senses, but I've been around long enough to watch it go that I just think it needs to change. And I think we need the emphasis to be on hard money. And maybe that comes with in another route that I'm not seeing. And I'm willing to admit that.
Hard money.
Yes, sir.
Hard money. Are you still near LA? Bitcoin Cast asks.
Yeah, I'm in northern Mexico, Southern California.
There you go. He says BCH meetup in LA October 10th. So.
Boom. Love me some Christian.
Love me some Christian. There's a guy that's not involved in politics. Gotta respect to that man. All right.
Yeah. And I'm terrible at politics, as the guys in CoinSpice will tell you.
Well, if you're writing about it, you're gonna piss somebody off. We'll just go with that.
Yeah. Well, I think it's time. I think it's time to put your reputation on the line. I think it's time to throw in and go, where do you sit on the? I'm not saying Christian has to do this. I'm saying I want to get out there and let it be known. And, it comes with a cost. I've already lost a lot. I got to be honest with you. I have lost a lot. And so I want to see it. I want to see it better itself and right itself. And I think there's a way to get it there and get it there quickly in time to meet what I feel is coming in 2021, which is, or thereabouts, something pretty bad on the monetary side of things.
Ding, 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 ding. The reputations are on the line. Here at the Bitcoin Cash marketers boxing match. Hey, I'm supposed to yeah, so I guess we've been going for a while. Do you have any last words, any last questions for me as we wrap this up here?
Well, I'm now doing as you've seen Coin Fugazi stuff, coinfugazi.com. It's a way for me to set out these ideas with the tagline, no one understands crypto. So we come at it with a bit of humility. We say the things people don't want to be said. We talk to the people that we shouldn't be talking to. And somewhere in there, we get at the truth and we find out, what crypto is made of and if it's what we think it is. And so if you're interested in those ideas and, covering the crypto space, I think as an honest actor or someone trying to be honest anyway, that puts everything out there so you don't have to guess and go, where's this guy on the IFP? Right away. I'm not trying to fool anybody. Where's this guy on Avalanche? Where's this guy on these other projects and DeFi? And I just write about it and cover it. And I think there's some value there. It's coinfugazi.com. Right now I'm distributing it to read.cash that officially is on record as hating my guts. So that's, if you want to talk about a guy who who still supports a platform, and puts my stuff on there, and even does a commercial and podcasts. That's how down I am for Bitcoin Cash, even with someone who's literally disavowed me in 4 different spaces by name. So you can get on Coin Fugazi on read.cash. Just finishing up some podcasts with Jamie Bartlett of the Missing Crypto Queen podcast of BBC. He's back. Just again finished up with Emin Gunsteer of Avalanche, the CEO, and all that they're doing there. Talked with the editor of How to Decrypt about the Steam versus Tron debacle or morality play. And there's more to come. I've got some more podcasts coming up with some heavy hitters, some real interesting people on all these subjects. And so stay tuned. I'm at Coin Fugazi on Twitter if you want to give it a follow. And I appreciate you having me on, brother. That was very nice of you.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thanks for coming on. And it's probably one of the more respectful debates you'll find about the IFP. So, especially in video form. I don't think there's been any video debates. I think it would devolve too quickly with most people. So, yeah, anyways, thank you so much, Kelso. Everybody go check his shit out. Great writer, even if I disagree with him on this one topic. But we'll see him back in Bitcoin Cash probably like December-ish, so no worries. CoinEx futures open tomorrow, so get your bets out. Get your bets out for the fork. So
there it is.
There
it is. So again, man, I appreciate you having me on. Best of luck with all the work. Excited to see the film come out, the documentary.
Yeah,
that's a big hairy deal.
Yeah, that'll be a while. My goal is end of next year. South Sudan travel shouldn't be too bad just because we know Lizzie and she can get us in most likely, even with Corona. Venezuela is a whole nother story. I obviously know people there, but the Corona really got shit shut down, and the USA doesn't like Venezuela to begin with. So that's gonna be a hairy one. And then just reaching out to a couple other people I want to get talked to, and then to the long process of editing this thing to make it actually into something. So yeah,
fantastic. I honestly can't wait to see it, and I know it'll be quality stuff. I've been following you for a long time, so good to see. Take good care of yourself.
Will do, man.
Stay healthy, and we'll talk. We'll be in touch anytime you want to hash it out. We'll talk.
Definitely will. All right. Thanks everybody for watching. Y'all have a good night.